Geek Talk. Let's enjoy the show. Talaman always got a plan. Geek Talk is popping where it's really at. Represents geek culture, homie got structure. Sometimes it's focus, real cast culture. Feel like Luffy, smart to say the least. Loving One Piece, man, really loves to eat. Everybody knows the show is really is. Talaman, you know what time it is. Let's go, Geek Talk.
Hello and welcome. We got another episode of Geek Talk with Tyler. As always, I'm your host, Tyler. We are wrapping up the individuals that have made geek culture. I'll be joined with yet another undateable X-Men cast member, Josh, or if you're friends with him on Facebook, Jack. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, bud. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. Before I go any further, would you like to talk about yourself? Who you are, what you do, and what some of your favorite upcoming character roles for the series are?
I mean, there's so many. The biggest one I'm super excited for, of course, is Magneto. A little bit about myself. I'm a aspiring voice actor. I've had such things as OSHA training videos, e-learning. I just started branching into a lot of character work. I've been making voices for a long, long time. And finally started to make a living out of it.
So you enjoy making people happy with your mouth, is what you're telling me.
Oh, yeah. Happier and with my mouth open.
All right, good to know. Some of the other characters he'll be playing are including, but not limited to, Claw, Jean's mom, and a couple of MRD agents.
Oh, Jean's dad.
Yeah, this one I was kind of inspired for by Ted, too. Or at least the Ted series, I should say. Where we kind of see their little Boston accent there.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how much emotion came out of that with such a funny voice.
Yeah, it's not, Bostons are not exactly emotional, except when it comes to happy that their team won or angry that their team lost. But that's about it.
Yeah, just about.
But with that said, our topic today is going to be how authors have shaped pop culture. Now, it's no secret that many movies today are based on some sort of literary work. Tarzan, Alice in Wonderland, Lord of the Rings, The Never-Ending Story, the list goes on. And when there are movies, there are reboots, adaptations, spin-offs, remakes, etc., etc. Now let me ask you something, Josh. Are you a Disney fan?
As of late, it's been an uphill battle, but yes.
Why do you say that specifically?
It seems like Disney's just one foot in their mouth, 1 foot in their grave as of late.
Yeah, there's an old expression about that. If you try to please everybody, you're not really pleasing anybody. So I think that's what they're trying to go for, but I think a lot of their edits have to do with China, because that's where a lot of their money comes from nowadays. I mean,
you're not wrong there.
Business-wise, I respect them, but ethically, it's kind of, if something's really that good, you really don't necessarily need to kiss somebody's ass to make it good.
Exactly.
That's my opinion on that.
The amount of retaliation that goes into it when something fails, it immediately goes to finger pointing.
It really does, and that's a shame. But the reason I ask about Disney is because this is the common trend with the theatrical Disney movies. They are usually based on one of two things. They are either based on mythology or folklore, like Hercules, Moana, or trying to think of something else on the top of my head.
I mean, the Grimm fairy tales pretty much laid the groundwork for Disney.
Pretty much, yeah. Or literature, like The Little Mermaid. Actually, The Great Mouse Detective, The Rescuers, Oliver and Company, all of which were basically, if not loosely based, off of literary works. Now that I think about it, the most successful books either come from one of two countries, America or England. There's really no in between. I mean, sure, you can say manga from Japan, but that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, it was actually in one of my talking points. There were two that really jumped out to me because I'm a huge gothic horror nerd, and there's Kentaro Miura that has written the Berserk series, who influenced Bloodborne, Souls, you name it, and Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, and name a more iconic monster in pop culture.
Dracula?
I mean, it's all in the same wheelhouse.
Well,
The
vampires have been
old school
around
movie
since
monsters.
like I want to say the thousands, or if not earlier. Frankenstein was like an 1800s book. So.
Oh yeah, and the fact that it came out of a essentially a friendly wager. Her and her friends got together and had a small book contest to see who could write the scariest story, and she wrote that.
Here's a scary story for you. 2024, Joe Biden becomes president again.
Oh, it's a crapshoot. I was watching the Daily Show earlier, and that gives me room for pause.
Yeah, but political points of view aside, it's funny that a lot of these monsters that exist, the Wolfman, Dracula, the Invisible Man, they're real 0 to 60. They either get played like the horrific monsters that they are, or they kind of become comical, like making werewolves into dogs, or like that whole Scooby-Doo bit with the mummy where you just pull the bandage and it just shrivels down to nothing.
I think that mostly stemmed from like Abbott and Costello.
It's funny that there's no in between about that, but I think that just goes for every time a new adaptation happens, there's going to be some slight difference. Like dragons specifically are known for that, whether it's mythology, movies, or any form of storytelling. The original dragons from Mesopotamia were kind of a bit of a hybrid creature between eagles, big cats, mainly like mountain lions and leopards, considering that they were around that area, and snakes. But now we have dragons based off fish, based off reptiles, based off a giant flying dog.
Based off Sean Connery.
Exactly, because we can, and therefore execute that right to do so as creatives. Hell, I mean, even if you look at orcs, they're usually in the West seen more like goblin-esque creatures. But when you look at Japan, they're basically like minotaurs, but they're more pig-like than boar-like, or than bull-like. Excuse me.
No, you're not wrong. Everywhere has their own interpretation of it. Like the zombie is a multicultural creature that has been seen in all manner of media, pop culture, ranging from everything from Draugrs and Skyrim to the zombies in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's definitely funny that way. What I'm going to say is that accuracy, or I guess in many cases lack thereof, definitely play a huge part in that. Well, I think that let's go back to the Disneys for a second. Hercules is especially notable for this. It's not exactly the most historically accurate Disney film.
Are you telling me they didn't have soul music?
I mean, that's part of it. I think like the only accurate part was how horny Phil was, considering how satyrs are Randy.
True.
But even then, every adaptation either adds to something or might subtract something. Like, there's never been an adaptation where Tom Bombadil hit the screen for Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I actually do find that kind of interesting. I don't know about you. I mean, technically, he would be what a lot of fans would be called filler because he only appears in one chapter. That doesn't really hold anything else in the story.
I mean, with the extended cuts, you figured they could slide him in somehow.
I mean, if they can make a freaking elf dwarf romance work in The Hobbit, you would have think he would have had some screen time, but no.
Give them what they want.
And I still think that movie should have been at least an hour at one film at most two, if you want to include all the unfinished story stuff.
Sadly, there's a group that would gladly camp out if you made it an event like that. I could see the LARPing community being really into like a sort of a drive-in scenario where it's like, yeah, just stay out in the woods and watch Lord of the Rings all day.
Yeah, see, this is what I've never understood a lot about movies. I'm not shaming anybody, and I totally get this as a cosplayer about wanting to dress up, but why would you want to dress up in a movie theater? I mean, it's going to be
Now,
hot.
I've done it a couple times. I've done a lot of horror movies where we've done like photo shoots and whatnot. The last one I did was a long time ago for the Rob Zombie Halloween. That was back when you actually could wear masks.
You mean it's fun to wear masks?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nowadays we can probably get away with a COVID mask. But
I don't know. You got people walking around in like full Boba Fett mask going, "This is the way."
yeah, but doesn't it make it hard to breathe in that thing?
Oh, I'd imagine, but it's more for the lulls.
Which that said, I'm gonna ask you something and answer me honestly. Do you prefer books that eventually become movies, or do you prefer books that were based off of movies?
I'd prefer books that become movies
So
because,
so literary then film.
yeah, it's a cool medium for me because I'm a big special effects buff. I come from haunted houses and sculpting and mask making, and to see them take something that's literally just words on paper and bring it to life like Narnia. Narnia was such an endeavor to bring those things to life.
Yeah, Kate Blanchett can do no wrong, in my opinion. Like she was both great as was it the Wicked Witch, or it was the White Witch
Mhm.
in Galadriel in the Middle-verse series.
But the amount of time, effort, and patience that went into that. I mean, they put singular hairs on fawns and trolls.
Yeah, everything now is just CGI. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't want to sound like one of those old fuddy-duddies that said
Oh,
back in
I'm
my
a funny
day.
duddy.
But it
You
definitely-
kids and your computers.
But it definitely feels that way. It's like Disney animation for a while had something really going good in the 90s and early 2000s, but then they just crapped out. And for the life
I
of me,
mean,
I never understood why.
Well, I mean, they skyrocketed. You know, you reach the top, and there's only so much more you can go up before you got to go back down.
Yeah, but the problem is they stayed down. They never went back up.
Who knows? We'll maybe have a new Disney Renaissance.
So, new Renaissance.
Oh yeah, back when we get some original content.
Well, I mean, nothing in Disney has been original.
No, we haven't had an original concept in Hollywood now for, God, what, 20, 30 years now?
I mean, I'd be willing to throw my hat in the ring, but the problem is, I'm not as woke as Kathleen Kennedy is.
Careful, you say that three more times, and she comes out from your fridge or underneath your bed and just kind of whisks you away. Fuck
Disney movies. Put a chick in it. Make it gay. For For those of you that don't know, that was a reference to the South Park Pandaverse special, where they had, get this, Kathleen Kennedy look exactly like Cartman. That was like her catchline for everything she said. It was put a chick in it, make it lame, and make it gay as fucking fuck.
I mean, that does seem to be the template. It seems like they got their buzzword checklist.
It does, and they also did an obesity special recently.
Oh yeah, the cure for obesity.
Yeah, honestly, I was kind of heartbroken at that. I mean, it was funny and everything, but the only reason why Cartman wants to lose weight is that he'll never get ripped on ever again. Not because he actually cares about his health.
I mean, that's the case for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. I mean, especially Lizzo.
I mean, I think money helps.
Yeah, I don't think I can really support her anymore. I mean, the body positivity was one thing, but did you hear what she said about her music?
No, I really don't. I don't tune into a lot. I try and stay under a rock.
Well, get this. She was so upset that white people were enjoying her music.
Oh man.
It's like, dude, who cares what people make up your fandom? I mean, let's look at anime. That was meant for Japanese people. You go to the straight, you're going to see black people, white people, Hispanic people. They all love that shit, especially Dragon Ball. Rest in power, Akira Toriyama.
Mm-hmm.
Or hell, My Little Pony. You'd think it would just be little girls. But
That was Bryan Singer. I watched a documentary with one of my friends about that, and he's like, "I got a lot of letters today, hun." It's like, "Oh, a bunch of little girls sending you fan mail." He's like, "It's not little girls, hun. It's not little girls."
But what I will say about that, with the My Little Pony series, the one that enhanced brony culture, it was well casted. I mean, I have this thing where I have to need to watch at least a good portion of it before I shit on it, which is fair. But
I got a rule. I'll give it 5.
5 minutes?
Nope, I'll give it 5 episodes. If you can tell me a good story and get me hooked in 5 episodes, we're doing something.
Well, what about a movie? How long would that take?
If I'm not invested within the first 40 minutes, usually I can tell where it's going.
Yeah, Disney's kind of been doing that a lot lately. Like the Ride of the Last Dragon movie. It was a good concept, but I think it would have worked better if it was a series as opposed to a movie.
Yeah, I think that about a lot of projects nowadays. I think that they're trying to cram too much into that hour 30 frame. You know, they're trying to get butts in seats. They're trying to make, you know, these ticket sales come back, especially after COVID. You know, the theater going experience has been a rocky, turbulent experience now.
Yeah, comic books essentially, which technically is its own animal when it comes to the world of literature, are kind of that issue too. I mean, there's so many incarnations of characters like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, that they have their own freaking multiverses.
Yeah. How long before do you think we get the I'm the goddamn Batman?
Well, that depends. How many more years does Samuel Jackson have left in him?
Oh God, I would pay. I would pay to see him in that.
Black Batman somewhere. I mean, because we have Black Batman, we now have White Panther. America forever, yo.
Yep.
I'm just saying, possibilities are endless, which is why a lot of when reboots happen, especially from literature, they just call it multiversal thing.
Yeah, it's one thing that's been a bit of a hurdle with comic books for me is the endless stream of multiversal theories. It's daunting. And when they hard reset, like Marvel did for a while
I think
with
it's
their
still
new
doing it.
52 or
I mean, honestly, I think Marvel should have just quote unquote died right when Iron Man did. I mean, granted, there are a lot of other characters and movies that could have been introduced afterwards, but really feels like they painted themselves into a corner.
well, I mean they had the golden ticket. You know, they found out what works in the allocated time period, then they cookie cuttered it, and they didn't have to put that much effort in it. It's like, okay, tell the same story but this way.
And it's sad that a lot of people eat it up. But then again, there are essentially two stories that are just told over and over again. Either somebody comes to town, like The Hobbit, or someone goes on a journey, like
Yeah, what was it
Hobbit,
for Star Wars? The was it the hero's journey?
basically. Which was Star Wars based off anything, or was that an original idea?
I mean, it's essentially Hamlet in space.
Was it though? Because
More or
some
less.
other
I mean,
guy-
it's a space opera.
Fair enough. I mean, definitely Shakespearean ties, so I want to say maybe closer to A Midnight Summer Dream.
Does that make Chewie the donkey?
Very much so, yeah.
Is Yoda Puck?
I can see that. Or maybe Palpatine Puck, because there's just too much chaotic nonsense. Right? Sorry, my cat wanted to join in that discussion.
Cat agrees. It's canon.
Yeah. Or in her case, Cadden. Right? But I think it's no matter what story you read, it's going to shape your way in some way or form. Even if it hasn't had a theatrical or a TV counterpart, it could still serve as inspiration.
Yeah, I just recently watched one on Netflix that I was really into. It's called The Fall of the House of Usher. And it is a modern retelling of Edgar Allan Poe, where it follows a family of, billionaires who all end up suffering fates that tie into Edgar Allan Poe's books. They cover The Masquerade of the Red Death, Telltale Heart, The Black Cat, and so on and so forth. And they do it in a way that's modern.
I mean, as modern as that kind of stuff can get, or at least you're allowed to get away with.
And it was done really well. Like it had me gripped. And they have one of the best rants about how to make money using lemons. It goes on forever.
Is
And
it like
if you haven't,
life gives you lemons, make lemonade or something like that?
yeah, and he goes on this tangent. He's like, no. You patent the seeds, you grow the trees, you then harvest the lemons, then you genetically alter the lemons to make them look like this, and then you patent those lemons, and when anybody else tries to buy those lemons, you sue them. You get all the celebrities to sit there and use your lemons. Lemon's now the key word. Any celebrity talking, that's lemon. This is lemon. And then only after you've made billions of dollars off your lemon empire, then you can have your fucking lemonade.
Okay. Not the turn I was expecting, but
Oh, it goes off on a tangent, and it is done so well that there's a bit of a jump scare that leads into it, and you're caught so off guard listening to this lemon rant.
all right. So let me ask you something. Are you a big anime fan?
Oh yeah, my tastes are starting to grow with me. I used to be, big into shonen and any gory thing I can get into. But I find myself rewatching a lot of classics now.
Nice. So, would you say anime and manga have more of an influence on modern pop culture, or would you say that really applies more for the other way around?
I would say lately that anime, it's kind of flip flopped. You got things like Chainsaw Man, who was influenced so much by American media that every opening and exit scene is an homage to American filmmaking. And then you have other parts where, we have children's TV shows that are essentially just Super Sentai. It seems like we borrowed from each other.
Fair enough. And I think it really shows like like you said, the shows that are basically what I call hamburger shonens. It's like they have the look and feel of anime, but they weren't made in Japan.
Exactly.
From shows like Avatar to...
I was about to say Avatar is as close as you
get.
get.
A good portion of the DCAU. Jackie Chan Adventures, Boondocks, especially.
Oh yeah, Boondocks definitely.
And even then, that list goes on. Like, especially in the isekai world, where a lot of the creatures that they use were, you could say they were taken from Tolkien's works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really any fantasy setting.
Which, incidentally, there's actually this new upcoming series I plan on watching. It's called Plus Size Elf. It's basically if Lizzo
I think I've heard about that.
It's basically if Lizzo sang body positivity songs in Middle Earth.
Okay.
But in short, it's about an elf that wants to lose weight because she's addicted to French fries.
There you go.
Because, of course.
Got to go to that McDonald's.
Yeah, and get yourself a flame-broiled bopper.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, I think this really ties up the whole inspiration, that there's no one definite source of inspiration. Whether you're looking for literary inspiration, mythological inspiration, it's just all around you, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a two-way street. Whatever we put into the world is eventually picked up by somebody else, and vice versa.
So
they say history often repeats itself, and that's in more ways than one.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how many comic book characters use Hitler.
Well, the rule, right? Get enough conversations going, and it always goes back.
Pretty much. I mean, give it say 50 years, they're gonna have an evil J.K. Rowling villain because she said some anti-trans stuff. With that said, I don't entirely agree with what she said. But
so you mean they're going to make the cinematic version of The Wall?
Pretty much. But
that character is going to be the main bad guy?
But what I will say is that regardless of what you think of her, there's no doubt that her works were a big influence on modern pop culture.
Oh yeah, I mean, you name some sort of any real author, it's usually the most traumatized. They have the most tortured souls, and they usually come from a string of abuse or self-abuse. Like God, Hemingway. There wasn't a thing that Hemingway didn't fight, fuck, or shoot.
Or shoot? Or were you saying shoot like you don't have another option?
No, he would go actively hunting.
Oh, okay. Wasn't sure what
he shot himself in the leg hunting sharks. He used to hunt Nazis in U-boats with a box of hand grenades and a machine gun.
Sounds pretty badass.
And then, had the time to sit there and just write a bunch of novels.
What's sad is that while he's an American classic, a lot of people today don't know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're our age or older.
Like H.P. Lovecraft.
Orwell.
Yep. They were not exactly the most tolerant of people.
No, but I think this is one of those rare instances where we need to separate the art from the artist.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not saying we should buy a copy of Hitler's paintings and frame it on our wall, or borrow a sculpture Mussolini made or something. But, just understand and respect people's opinions. And from there, appreciate their artwork.
Yep, I mean the Cthulhu mythos is, the cosmic horror genre in general.
Indeed. So this has been our individuals that have made pop culture. Josh, thanks so much for swinging by today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
One more time, where can people find you? And if you want to give us a little quick reel of some of the characters you're doing as a little sneak peek, I think we'd all appreciate that.
At the moment, we're running Magneto. Greetings from Genosha, brothers and sisters. We are running Ulysses Claw from the Black Panther, and he's a bit of a German scientist, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, you got Gene's dad. He's from Boston. He's a real nice guy, and you can catch him on the YouTubes, on the interwebs, on the Undateable X-Men. But me personally, you can find me on LinkedIn, Backstage, and anywhere else really you find voice acting.
All right, awesome. Stay tuned for next month on how a fan's influence affects pop culture. But as always, hit like, subscribe, and follow for more geeky content. But no matter what you do, remember, stay geeky.